does she explain her gender identity to every child that she works with? Does every child she works with have to acknowledge her gender identity? That is forcing these children to agree with her ideological worldview, which is completely wrong. Hi, my name is Jen and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we're going to talk about the police and we're going to talk about the concept of non-binary. More specifically, we're going to talk about the non-binary cop who was given a platform on the Swedish police official website. So just last week, there was an article released on the police's website which reads, "The police are meant to be for everyone and should represent everyone in society. That's why it's important for me to be open," says Alex, who works as a children's interrogation leader and investigates crimes against children under the age of 18. Only two genders are acknowledged legally, but reality is more complicated. Some feel as if they are both man and women. Others feel that they are neither or. That's how it is for Alex. So there's a lot to unpack here. A lot of you will understand straight away why I feel it's important to cover this story. The most obvious is to ask why this article was released on the police's official website and what that means. This is during the same month as that female police officer was bending the knee to the BLM mob whilst holding a sign that read "White silence is violence." That woman has not faced any repercussions as I am aware. This is also during the same time as the worldwide smear of the police as an institution, and it's also Pride Month, whatever that means today. I get a very strong feeling that this article is just like the action of kneeling before the mob. Now, will it be effectful? Will it be enough? I honestly don't think so. I don't think it's ever going to be enough. It doesn't matter what the police actually do. The mob is just going to keep on shouting, "All cops are bastards," and whatever. I want you to keep in mind as I read this article that this is what the police force here in Sweden now officially stand for. I think that's the logical conclusion we can draw as to it being released on their website. I want us to go through what these opening lines actually say, and then I want us to go through the rest of the article bit by bit and talk a little bit about it. The police are meant to be for everyone and should represent everyone in society. I would agree that the police are meant for everyone living in this society. They are meant to keep us safe by upholding law and order. The police should represent me just like the Swedish flag represents me, or just like the government represents me. It represents me by keeping me safe. A comparison would be like a lawyer representing their client. The police job is to protect its citizens, and if the police has to look like any particular citizen that they are protecting to complete their mission, they have completely failed and they have lost sight of what their job actually is. There are many requirements to becoming a cop. Therefore, the police cannot logically represent, as in look like, all citizens of Sweden. And that's okay. I don't need them to look like me. I need them to keep me safe. That's why it's important for me to be open, says Alex, who works as a children's interrogation leader and investigates crimes against children under 18. Why do the political LGBTQ people always have to work with and surround themselves by children? I don't understand. And does she explain her gender identity to every child that she works with? Does every child she works with have to acknowledge her gender identity? If that is so, that is ideological. That is forcing these children to agree with her ideological worldview, which is completely wrong. I mean, that's not okay. Because being non-binary is fully and completely ideological. Whilst we do have gay and trans conservatives and right-wingers, you simply don't have non-binaries on the right wing because it's ideological. It's only seen on the left. Only two genders are acknowledged legally, but reality is more complicated. Some feel as if they are both man and woman. Others feel that they are neither of. That's how it is for Alex. It's not complicated. It's not complicated. There are two biological genders, male and female. And it's completely normal to feel a bit boyish as a woman or feel a bit girlish as a man. Some people have what's called personalities. Others might have chemical imbalances in their bodies, and some are homosexuals, which tends to feminize men and make women more masculine. And there's also trans people who feel as if they are the other gender, and they want to transition into the other gender under the binary of sex. Non-binaries, however, just have what's called needing extreme amounts of attention at all times and at all costs. They need society to shape around their very special identity, basically. Alex was born a woman, but felt early that it wasn't right. As long as I can remember, I've been open with the fact that I didn't feel like a typical girl and didn't understand why I got boobs and period. The norm is that you shape and grow into the gender you are born into, but I have always felt that I am outside of that. When I read this, and this might sound insensitive to some, but when I read this, I get the picture of a very insecure adolescent having trouble with puberty. Because growing into the gender you are born in, saying that as a girl would just as well be maturing into a woman, but she did not want to. Puberty is a risk period for anorectics as well. When I was very invested in that topic, I came across researchers who said that some underlying reasons for starving yourself is to unconsciously to stop the maturing process and to stop your body from growing up because you are very uncomfortable with the idea of growing up. Body dysmorphia, which is the uncomfort in your body and the kind of skewed way of looking at your body, appears both in trans people and in eating disorders. If you don't eat, your boobs don't grow. If you don't eat, your period stops. Your body stops developing and you stop having to deal with maturing, with growing up, with your body starting to resemble that of an adult. The article continues. When Alex became aware of the trans phenomena that the gender and one's body don't align with the gender one feels inside, they got confused. These reflections continued all throughout gymnasium, and Alex had a big support coming from their family. A while after Alex had graduated gymnasium, their mom asked if they had thought about changing genders, but Alex had no interest in doing that. For them, changing gender would be too black and white, and in their head it was only gray. Back then, I didn't have the knowledge that I do today, they say. Her mom, and everyone surrounding her, seemed very keen on her being trans. Why? 2012, Alex started her police studies. They still had their old name and was then a woman. But my guy friends at school would often joke around and say, "You're one of the dudes." It's fairly normal for girls, for certain types of girls, to get accepted into the guy groups or want to be with the guys. That doesn't mean that they're the other gender. I was one of those. Does not mean I'm a boy. It just meant that I enjoyed spending time with guys and I felt comfortable with that. It's funny how she would take a compliment such as, "You're one of us, although you don't look like us, you're completely accepted," into meaning that she should change her body entirely to resemble them. She then talks about her then girlfriend and how she was the first one to ask her for Alex's pronouns. And that's when the penny drops. That's when she looked into things and realized that she was non-binary. Shortly thereafter, Alex went through a gender investigation, and afterward they started hormone therapy with testosterone. Why do non-binary people get given testosterone? What is she transitioning to? Why do we waste medical resources on these confused people? Is she gonna take testosterone? Because if she starts testosterone, she's gonna have to take that for the rest of her life. Is she taking that to stay in between the genders? And why does the healthcare system allow that? That sounds very, very odd to me. Alex came out officially on the job in September of 2018 and at the same time privately on social media. But this was no news for the closest superior and colleagues. They already knew. My boss had already prepared an email to the other group managers and had said, just tell me when to press send. It was written in the email that Alex was going through gender investigations, wants to be called they or him, and has changed her name to Alex. It was a little bit nervous, but obviously mostly felt alleviating. I was going to work the weekend after and was met by the on-duty commander who said, "Hi, Alex." It felt fantastic to be so immediately acknowledged or affirmed. I wasn't sure if I were to use the word acknowledged or affirmed. The Swedish word is bekräftat, so all my Swedish followers, be sure to discuss that in the comments. So again, why do I get the feeling that everyone surrounding her is overly excited about her being trans? And why do I also get the feeling that if they had done even a little bit less, that they would have been met with huge backlash? According to a report from 2017, trans people are more vulnerable to harassment, threats, and violence than others, but few report to the police, in many cases due to low trust in them. And here, in the article, comes the actual statistics. She starts pointing to actual statistics and to why she feels that her participation in this interview was important. The government's official investigations concluded in 2017 that trans individuals are victims of more threats and of more harassment and violence than other citizens, and these are not reported due to a mistrust in the police. Alex therefore feels that it's important for her to be an open, non-binary cop so that people dare to speak out. And I will have to have a thorough investigation of this investigation to see, I don't know, this seems very ideologically based in the language where the example used the term LGBTQI, and in the imagery where the front page looks like this. I am very skeptical to there needing to be a trans and non-binary police just because there are trans and non-binary victims. We cannot base our trust in authorities and professionals based on what their outward identity is or based on what their identity is. That's absurd to me. It sets a really strange precedent if we base our trust in authorities or other professionals based on their sexual, racial, or gendered identity. There are many amongst us who feel that the justice system is failing us. There's a lot of mistrust in the justice system here in Sweden and in many other countries as well. I think that to repair that trust, we should work on actually getting justice, and we should work on actually having cases be solved and getting higher punishments for gruesome crimes, which I think is, I don't know, there's a lot of groups in Sweden who are very, very unhappy with our justice system. So I think we should focus on repairing our justice system, not focus on individual identities of individual cops. That's insane to me. I don't know. So the last bit I'm going to talk about is at the bottom of this article, there's a square with information on what being trans means. And I want to read this to you, whilst you keep in mind that this is the definition that is now acknowledged by the police. So it says, what is trans? The most common meaning of the word trans is to break the gender norm. A trans person's gender identity and or gender expression does not align completely or partially with the sex that the person was born with. One example is of a trans person being born a woman but always felt as a man, or the other way around. The person is trapped in the wrong body. Some trans people want to change their body through gender of confirmation treatment. To call it changing gender is wrong. It's not about changing their gender, it's about changing body so that the person gets the right gender identity on the outside too. Some call this gender reassignment. A lot of people who have gone through gender reassignment no longer define themselves as trans person, but as a person with a trans experience. Others don't want to change their body, but instead maybe make a change with the help of clothing or other attributes. Trans has nothing to do with sexuality. It's about gender identity. Trans is not a sexuality. How did we allow these definitions to change so drastically, so quickly? Trans used to mean what the word entails, transitioning from one gender to the other within the binary of sex. I would love to talk more to you about this, but this video would be way too long. I might make a video just talking about this little square of information because it holds so much in it, and it would be an interesting discussion. So as you guys are probably able to tell by now, I'm not very good at concluding my videos, but what I was intending to say with the last bit there is that it's very concerning to see what definitions that our official institutions are now using. This is something that we need to keep on talking about, even as seemingly bigger things are happening, like what we see with the BLM protests and what we're seeing in the bigger picture. We need to go back and focus on these things, because these things are still happening in the background, and we cannot draw our focus away from that, because that is building the groundwork, that is doing the groundwork. Everything that's happening basically is what I think, at least. So thank you so much for watching my video, and an extra thank you to all of my Patreons, Yup, T. Smith, Mark Schwarzberg, John Patrick, Michael Edelius, Craig Nickerson, Jim Hicks, Daniel Yu, Graham P. Mills, Andreas Springare, Jocke Hellgren, Captain Erik Larsson, Helmut Björl, Robert T. O'Gara, Chuck Schaefer, Aiden Finn, Oskar Sandström, Sonja Alriksson, Crowley357, Brennan Bauer, Tobias Schumacher, Ivan Akarius, Adrian Betts, Gabriel Tika, ASDF, Are Håkansson, Vyacheslav, Eric Bishop, Tim Bennett, Tony Patak, Liam McCarthy, Patriarken, Benjamin Dolby, Kasper Örberg, Proud Boy, Steve Olvmoon, John Sheresna, Scott Allen, Benedict Block, Ivan Andrada Mendoza, Dan Lindberg, Jessica Weiner. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!